And gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tesla stock is down about 1% today, and we have all of your Tesla stock breaking news. Foremost, for the week ending October 20th, Tesla registered 13,200 Teslas in China. This is far beating last year's number for this week that came in at 8,100. And 2022's number that came in at about 5,300. So Tesla China continues to show strong demand. Writes on X, Autopilot is a major safety improvement following the data that Tesla released today on just this. Tesla has released their Q3 2024 safety report. Quote, in the third quarter, we recorded one crash for every 7.08 million miles driven in which drivers were using Autopilot technology. For drivers who are not using Autopilot technology, we recorded one crash for every 1.29 million miles driven. By comparison, the most recent data available from the NHTSA and FHWA from 2022 shows that in the United States, there was an automobile crash approximately every 670,000 miles. So Tesla drivers tend to be better drivers, I think we can assume that, but FSD or Autopilot tend to be even better drivers by a long shot. In other huge news today for Tesla, Tesla is now offering a record low loan rate of 0% APR for new Tesla Model 3 and Model Y finance orders in the US. You do not need to purchase FSD to get 0%. For the Model Y, this is available only for terms up to 60 months and requires a minimum down payment of 20%, including the $7,500 federal tax credit that will be applied if eligible. So basically, if you're eligible for the federal tax credit, then that covers the down payment. For the Model 3, available only for the 36-month term and requires a minimum down payment of 20%, also including the $7,500 federal tax credit that will be applied if eligible. Now, I have a couple of thoughts on this. Clearly, this is good news for the consumer. This is great. Now, Tesla is offering 0% financing, and that should allow more people to be able to afford a Tesla. On the other hand, it really shows how bad the US is doing. If Tesla is continuing to need to promote more and to offer more concessions just to sell cars to people in America, it's not a great sign for how Americans are doing financially. Which leads me to believe that maybe in the first almost month or so of Q4, the numbers for US deliveries are probably not that great. Now, that's interesting because on Google Trends, you actually see data that goes against that. On Google Trends, you see the Cybertruck that's really sideways. It's been lower since early October when it hit 44. Now it's at 41. But if you look at the Model Y, that went from 20 to 26. The Model 3 went from 19 to 23. The Model S went from 9 to 10. And the Model X went from 7 to 8. So you're actually seeing some good data on Google Trends so far for the month of October, which is kind of weird considering Tesla is now offering more concessions in the US to presumably sell more Teslas. And as of today, the Cybertruck is now eligible for free FSD transfers until the end of 2024. The Cybertruck wasn't eligible before, but Tesla managed or changed the rules today. This means you can transfer FSD for free to a new Model S, 3, X, or Y, or Cybertruck if you take delivery by December 31st, 2024. So again, another concession to try to sell more Teslas, which I do think FSD should be transferable after all, so that's not really a big deal. Ford has introduced the 2025 Mustang Mach-E and cut the entry-level price by 9%. Now the lower starting price is $36,495, down from $39,995 for the 2024 model year. Peter Rawlinson, Lucid CEO, says he thinks full urban autonomy won't arrive until the 2030s. He says, quote, technical people are significantly underestimating how hard it is to reach full autonomy in urban scenarios. It's like refining gold to 99.99999%. The last few nines The first few nines are easy, but it's that last 0.01%. I can't really see it happening until the 2030s, which is a cop-out way of saying Lucid's probably not going to survive until then anyways, so we're not even going to focus on full autonomy. It's also reported that Tesla filed 4 trademark applications for Cybercab and Cyberbus on October 17th. It's also reported as of last night that Tesla has updated their referral program in the US. The buyer and loyalty benefits for new Model 3 and Model Y orders in the US have been reduced from $1,000 to $500. Tesla has also increased inventory discounts in the US as much as $4,000, up from $2,500 on select Model Y and Model 3s. Buyers can also apply tonight's new 0% APR promotion to these inventory vehicles, potentially saving them up to $9,000 in total over the duration of a 60-month loan. And note, these are not demo vehicles. It's also being reported that Tesla Korea has cut charging costs by about 18% today. Stellantis could make fewer gas cars to avoid emission fines. The company is ready to reduce the output of gasoline and diesel cars. The COO told Automotive News Europe the production cuts could commence as early as next month, which Stellantis, their deliveries are down over 30% year over year. They're having a hard time selling any vehicles, EVs or gas. And it's also being reported that Tesla is offering 1-year free premium connectivity when selecting an inventory vehicle for immediate delivery. And EV market share in Colorado hit 21.9% in Q3 2024, a new all-time high. The Model Y was the #1 best-selling EV in the state and the 3rd best-selling vehicle overall. Although we will discuss Tesla earnings more in the next video, it's pretty much going to be dedicated to Tesla earnings that are tomorrow. Gary Black shares his view of Tesla earnings coming tomorrow, and I will share that with you here in this video. He says, our Tesla Q3 adjusted EPS estimate is 56 cents versus Wall Street at 60 cents, with Q3 auto gross margins excluding regulatory credits of 14.2% versus Wall Street's consensus of 14.9%. So he's expecting a lower auto gross margin. The expected margin shortfall reflects Tesla's 0.99% promo loan rate offered globally, and our estimate the Cybertruck lost an average of $20,000 per vehicle sold across 13,500 vehicles in Q3. While Tesla automotive costs are falling, the downward trajectory in Tesla's auto gross margin, excluding regulatory credits, may continue into Q4 with 0 interest rates offered on all Model 3 and Model Ys. Wall Street expects Tesla's auto gross margin, excluding those regulatory credits, will rebound to 15.2% in Q4 and 16.1% in full year 2025. But again, let's be honest, what's really going to move Tesla stock higher tomorrow is if we get guidance on the lower price Tesla. If that's still expected to come by midpoint of 2025, that is the most important thing. I don't know if we'll get clarity on that. Some people think we will, some people think we won't. I believe we probably will. Thus, Tesla stock is likely going to go higher coming tomorrow. Just my opinion. Like Squawk Square, he says, in all honesty, I actually do believe that Tesla earnings won't be that bad tomorrow and think they could have a slightly better surprise than Wall Street is expecting. However, what I don't believe is that Elon will provide any clarity or timelines on anything to help with analyst confidence. That is why I'm not as positive going into earnings and coming out of it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Tesla stock is down about 1% today, actually hitting a very critical line of support. If you can hold this level, that's going to be great news. You actually want to get above about 217.30 or so. You want to close above there. Tesla's currently at $216.70 per share, so you're currently below that, but just marginally. Some of that weakness today comes as 10-year Treasury yields continue higher. 10-year Treasury yields now at 4.206%, up 2.5 basis points today, and the government is starting to take notice. Janet Yellen, Plunge Protection Team, is trying their hardest to slow down the sell-off in bonds. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says bringing deficits under control will help ensure demand for U.S. debt, because that's pretty much what is going on right now. Is there's so much debt being issued. the world doesn't really want to buy it at these low interest rates anymore. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says fiscal deficit reduction is required over the coming years, basically saying, we're not going to do anything about it, but during the next presidential term, y'all are going to have to deal with it. Also in the news today, members of the Israeli Political Security Cabinet were informed during last night's meeting that Israel will soon launch a, quote, very significant attack inside Iran, but that they would not be notified of its nature in advance, with officials believing that Iran will forcefully respond to the attack. Israeli Defense Minister says Israel's planned attack on Iran will be the beginning of a war that will last several months. And you have BRICS News also on X reporting that Israel says a, quote, very significant attack will be carried out on Iran soon. Now, soon is very arbitrage. If you have a 2-month timeline, then you would think soon is within like the next couple of days. If you have a year timeline, you would think soon could be any time within the next month or two. So soon really doesn't tell us a whole lot. It could happen tonight. It could happen 2 weeks from now. It could happen 2 months from now. But we're still expecting a response. Now, this could actually be good news for U.S. bond markets. If there is a flight to safety, you could see bonds get bought up and thus yields fall. But at this point, you would think that would already be starting to happen if there was actually going to be a larger conflict in the Middle East. The biggest thing we really want to be watching is oil markets. If oil markets are impacted, then oil goes higher, and that affects the U.S. economy a lot. Now, Tesla option activity today is split down the middle, some bullish, some bearish. You have 60 different trades totaling $29.95 million with a positive order value of 50%. Tesla's short interest of free float sits at 2.66%. You have $16.18 billion currently sold short in Tesla stock, totaling 73.92 million shares. And you do have about 30,000 shares today on net that are being covered on. Sentiment over on StockTwits has Tesla bearish at 36. Yesterday it was bearish at 44. Message volume is normal at 48. Yesterday was normal at 45. And the participation ratio today is high at 56. The CNN Fear and Greed indicator is coming in today at 70, which is still in the higher end range of greed. The percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average is down to 56.89%, so 3.34% of all stocks are breaking below that 50-day moving average today. You can see that big tech is really leading the markets yet again, with some names having an outsized impact. Meta's up 1%, Amazon's up 0.6%, Google's up 0.3%, and Microsoft is up over 2% today. Whereas the RSP, this is the equal weight S&P, is down almost 0.5% today, which the headline S&P is down 0.1%. So definitely big tech helping to hold this market up. Now, as far as Tesla's technicals, the RSI sitting at 38.56, so definitely on the oversold side. MACD line is negative 4.47, the signal line is negative 1.14, and Tesla is trying to get above this downtrending or uptrending line of support, connecting the prior, some of the prior lows we have seen, one of which was back here in April, if you will, of 2024, and another one back here in August of 2024, and now where we are today. It also perfectly aligns with the low that you hit on October 14th. So yeah, we want to find some support here, but we will see if that happens. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude this video. In the next video, we will specifically go over my expectations for Tesla stock and earnings that we have tomorrow. Trust me, you do not want to miss that video. Until then, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.